Good morning, everyone. It's good to be with you this morning. It's a wonderful morning here in coastal Virginia. The leaves are falling like rain, and the sky is beautiful. Temperature's wonderful. All in all, it's a great, great gift simply to be here alive with the technology that's here in front of us, so we can communicate and to be part of this growing understanding that divine consciousness, that which is of all that is in fact that who I am and who you are. Excuse me. The time has come for me to ask for your support. I'm coming to you through this um, Facebook page, and much is happening. But the message that I bring, it takes time and it takes energy and it takes effort on my part. And in this world that we live in, time, energy, and effort translates into dollars and cents. And so if you would be willing to send me your love energy as a contribution to this mission, it would be greatly appreciated. Please make your checks payable to Reverend Paul Fitzsimmons, 7773 Belroy Road, Gloucester, Virginia, 23061. Again, checks or money orders would be greatly appreciated. Thank you. I look forward to sharing this message and to continue this mission. And so now, with business out of the way, let's begin with our regular morning breathing practice. And so here we go. Excuse me. So we breathe in, we hold, and we breathe out. We breathe in, we hold, and we breathe out. We breathe in through the nose, hold, breathe out. Breathe in, hold, breathe out, and continue. Breathe in, hold, breathe out. Okay, well, let's come back. Let's come back. Let's come back here. Let's shake our hands, get our fingers working, open our eyes, blink a few times. It's really good to see you this morning. I thank you very much for being here. The presence of God as myself, the presence of God as the motivating, animating factor of my three-dimensional existence is the absolute necessity to embrace, to proceed into a state of higher consciousness on this three-dimensional plane. And so people say to me, they go, well, Paul, what do you mean by higher consciousness? Well, one good way to look at that is if I'm walking down the street and I see something going on somewhere or another, and what comes to me is, well, they're not doing that right. If they do that differently, it'd work better. If they would wait till later in the day to do that, it would work better. Effectively, I see somebody doing something and I go into judgment about that. Then actually what's happening is that I'm unable to observe it as it is and simply be part of it and allow it to exist. I'm actually lowering my vibration so as to be right in the moment. And that being right in the moment is coming from a place of emotional instability. It's coming from a place of ego demand. And what we know today is that those vibratory activities that lower our vibratory rate actually lower our consciousness, which brings us down, makes us heavier in this three-dimensional plane, and therefore eliminates the possibility of perceiving that a higher state of consciousness like joy or like love is available. So it's a matter of choice as to who it is I choose to be. And in that choice comes the power of ascending to a place of consciousness that is not entrapped in the lower state of being. To be angry, to be frustrated, to be judgmental are all forms of vibrations that are at or below the 200 vibratory rate level. And the 200 vibratory rate level is the level of the 200 is the lowest level you can go and still be vibrating at a rate that allows for this individual to embrace that which is going on around me. I know that sounds a little bit confusing, but the reality is, in the original example, when I'm walking down the street and I'm looking and I'm over there and I have this conversation going on in my head about they're not doing it right, if they'd only ask me, it'd be better, and whatever and whatever and whatever, is not affecting that person in that moment in any way, shape, form, or manner. The effective reality is that that person, whoever they are, is existing in my consciousness rent free. And instead of being focused on that which is my divine consciousness, that consciousness of joy and that consciousness of love, I am focused on them. Effectively, I'm projecting myself into their consciousness. Now I am no longer of service to myself, and I am no longer service to whoever or whomever that is. Making that choice to remain present in my divine state is the key to higher understanding, is the key to calm experience, is the key to being that love which we all desire to be, whether we know it or not. We desire to be that love. We desire to be that embrace. We desire to be that servant. Because at the end of the day, the all that is the essence of this being, the I am of this being, that all that is all that is. And I am either embracing the understanding that it's all perfect as it says, or I am caught in the rapids of my three-dimensional consciousness, my intellect, my emotion, and my ego. The way to maintain a state of understanding that allows Paul Fitzsimmons to give space to the whole rest of existence around me is practice. I must practice replacing those judgmental conversations in my head, which are actually fear manifesting, which I have been trained for since I was conceived here on the planet Earth. I was trained to be afraid. I was trained to be in judgment. I was trained to hold myself in comparison to everyone else. I was trained to be jealous. I was trained to be envious. What happens is, out of free will, I get to choose to retrain my consciousness, to become a servant to all that is. Therefore, become a servant to myself. Therefore, become a servant to everyone else. Not to hold them in judgment that they're right or wrong or good or bad, but to acknowledge them as who they are. And from that acknowledgement, be able to look at them and in my consciousness offer help in the form of love. It doesn't require me to walk up to them and say, "Can I help you?" or "I love you," necessarily. I can just offer it from my state of being and my state of consciousness. I can offer it from a level of acknowledgement and acceptance. Therein lies freedom. Therein lies the whole activity of enlightenment. And that enlightenment is what raises us up. If we look at the story of the Buddha did all kinds of things in his life after he escaped from the walled city that his father kept him in, so as he wouldn't know what was going on the outside of the wall. So he escaped from there and he went out and he tried on every cloak to get understanding and to realize who he knew that he was greater than his body. He was greater than his mind. He was greater than his emotions. And he went looking in all different ways. He became an aesthetic. I don't know if I'm saying that word right. But anyways, he became a person who denied most of the uh, requirements to maintain the human body. At one point, he even beat himself. He starved himself. He belittled himself. He put himself out there in all different kinds of ways. And none of them brought him to a place of peace, a place of serenity, a place of understanding. And after trying and trying and trying and trying, he basically said, I don't know what else to do. I'm going to sit down under this tree and I'm just going to wait and I'm going to look. And he let go of every idea he had about how it was supposed to be. And as the story goes, he sit under that tree for 20 plus years. And it came to him that all of these things that he experienced in this life are part of the life. They're not right or wrong. They're not good or bad. They're not up or down. They simply are part of the life. And once acknowledging that there is nothing good or bad about it, it just is, allowed him to perceive that he was part of everything else that was going on. That not only were these things happening to him, they were happening to everyone else at the same time, and everything else, to include deers and worms and birds and trees and every other manifested aspect of all that is in this three-dimensional plane. And once realizing that, he then embraced a form of activity that called him forward to remember and be with all the time this understanding that he had. It's developed into meditative forms. There's different forms of meditation in Buddhism. There's different aspects. There's all kinds of things going on. But at the end of the day, it was the simple acknowledgement on the Buddha that he is not this body, that he is that which animates this body, and that is part of everything else that is as well, and all is well. It's okay as it is. It's not my job to tell you or fix you from doing that which you choose to do. At that point, it became imperative that he apply these new understandings that he had through his intellect, through his emotions, through quieting himself, through breathing technique consistently, more, more, more present every day. And that's the same that goes with you and I in this practice that we choose to become aware, fully aware of the divine presence of which we are. There are dozens and dozens and dozens of authors available to each of us today. If we read them and we read them with genuine desire for understanding, we will begin to read that they're saying the same thing in a different way over and over and over again. The trick is, which isn't a trick, the practice is to apply the techniques to my life consistently. daily, then multiple times a day. Then, as it begins to progress, it becomes more and more that who I am until at some point enlightenment manifests, and who I am is the presence of divine consciousness wherever I am. If you have read a bunch of books, great. If you desire to continue reading, wonderful. But reading beautiful words and feeling a momentary rush of joy dissipates. Practice of the techniques that are offered regularly is key. That's not to say that reading the books and getting experience of momentary joy and riding on that little pink cloud for a little bit and then coming down, having some experience, being brought to another writer who writes something very basic and similar, getting a little pink cloud activity on that, and going that way over and over. There's nothing inappropriate about that. But I'm suggesting that there is more to it than that. In fact, I'm not suggesting it. I am saying to you clean, straight out, there's more to this understanding. There's more to enlightenment than momentary rushes of joy. If the best you can get is momentary rushes of joy, so be it. But there's more available. There's more available. The simple technique that I am offering to you right now is to repeat over and over and over and over to yourself, aloud or quietly, I am the child of God. I am the presence of God wherever I am, and all is well. I and God are one. Those three statements, spoken over and over and over and over, will elevate the level of your vibratory consciousness and bring you closer to a state of joy that is consistently present, simply by observing the beauty of all that is around you at all times. I salute you as the presence of God wherever you are. I acknowledge you as the presence of God. I enfold you as myself. And I thank you for being here with me to share this beautiful garden that we call the three-dimensional plane. Namaste, namaste, namaste.